Alright, so with that last large video out of the way, welcome to Dreadnought Part 26. So, last time at the very end of it, you started, I think, seeing me work on these. And these are some of the deck things. And this is actually pretty easy for me, at least, to get going. Let's see if this thing's still... It actually looks pretty close to level. Hooray. So let's see if I can get something out of this, huh? Maybe I can do it live on camera. Probably not, but why not give it a try? Make a more interesting intro. Because let's face it, I've got stuff that's coming in and it's going to take a bit to get here. So is that focused right? Yes, it is. So these are about 1/8 of an inch wide. A little wider than my decks, admittedly. This might only get just the bare bottom, but that's okay if it does. Alrighty, so where is the big blade? There it is. Okay. So maybe for the Bismarck I'll have to make like a machine or something that, you know, handles some of this. But the way I figured, if I go back and forth, I can sort of try to keep this guy level while cutting through the rest. So let's see. So that looks to me like it's a little bit yeah, it looks to me like it's not quite gonna do. So let's see if I can get just that a little bit more. Maybe I angle in a little bit and we'll see if I can't, there we go. There we go. Oh, there we go. Have I found the answer to what I've been looking for the whole time? Maybe. Alright, that's a little better. That seems a bit more flat. Yep, and then just run this along. There we go. Come on. Don't slice my finger open. Yay. So as you can see, that actually went really good. And then the last thing I've got is this little guy here, which I actually can learn how to fix the other day. So super glue will not stick to this. That was a very useful finding in one of my previous videos. But what will stick to this, it's good old-fashioned Elmer's glue. I'm beginning to think that Elmer's glue is actually really good glue. I mean, yeah. Why give the kids the Elmer's glue if it's really good? Well, maybe it's because it sticks anything, and you know, screaming kids is really a lot more annoying than, I don't know, something. Okay, let's see. There we go. There we go. There we are. Hooray! All right, there we are. And can I nicely lay these one on top of the other? Yes, I can. Righty. So there we go. So as I was mentioning, yeah, I'm gonna film a more interesting intro section here because the yeah, I've got parts that gotta come in, and I've run out of some supplies I'll have to get, but because it's still Corona season, I'm gonna have to more carefully plan that out. You know, when to go out, you know, where the places are open, wear the mask and all that, which, by the way, you should be doing. I know, some people screaming, you know, how horrible the masks are. I view it as my patriotic duty to, you know, even if it's uncomfortable, help my fellow Americans, because that's just what good people do. Okay. So there's that. It looks like that's, that. So now I can actually put these up in front. So, alright, so here we are. Let's see if I can't get these back together, huh? So those seem to be quite happy with one another. Alright. Then, so there's that. There's this right here. Good, that's the third one in the series, I think. Yeah, it looks right about right. Yep. The fourth one, and then the last one is right there. Okay. Which is, of course, still drying and not staying stuck. Okay, well, it's life. There we go. So let's see. If I do top of that one, if I did just the bare bottom of that, it would work, and then I could do all this other stuff. I have a little visitor here, an ant. I have a little visitor here. A pancake. I keep missing him. There we go. I have a visitor here. A pancake. I keep stepping on them. They keep coming in. Yeah. Note to self. Get some ant baits. The trick is putting them in places where the kids won't get them, as well as where the ants will definitely find them. You know, that usually, I've found that takes care of the problem of ants before they become a really nasty issue. I know, I'm so mean and horrible, but alright, so now I've shown you the basics. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try it with this one, and I bet I'm not going to get all that far. Alright, or I probably will get far, but I'm going to time-lapse it for everybody's convenience. So, as I just got kind of done discussing, still using those same brass pieces to act as a guide for that long blade there, in order to cut the pieces of silicone that I had made into the deck section bits before laying them out on that plastic sheet and explaining a little more. Alright, I know what some of you are about to be thinking. Rich, for one of these things, you're about to repeat a mistake you made. Which is, instead of taking these guys by their bottom sections, I was doing them by their top sections and outlining the last set of them. And you're right. The thing is, on the plan here, where is it? Yeah, there we are. Here, so these compartments seem to have sort of a floor that starts kind of here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, what I'm thinking is I might want to actually play that game and see how good I can get. As I think that might be the best way for me to, you know, get this going. Plus, again, I can, you know, do a little bit of, you know, tweaking with things and try to make it work that way. And again, this is all about learning, right? So try something new by trying something old that didn't work, I guess. Yeah, that sounded better in my head. Gonna have to round this guy down a bit while I'm at it, I think. Well, yeah, except for this right here. Alright. Okay, well, back to me making cutouts. Alright. And yes, we do some cutouts, and you'll notice that I do something new with this set of cutouts. I use some glue to keep them all down while I'm spraying, because I've noticed the sprayer can, you know, move them around. The dumb thing I did was that I sprayed this right after the glue went down rather than letting it dry. I guess I must have thought that the cleaning time this would have taken would have been enough for it to get enough tack to hold everything on. It didn't. Which is mildly irritating, but, you know, lesson learned. Won't be a thing I do with the Bismarck. Maybe I'll be able to better take my time with that. We'll see. You know, probably gonna have to, because all the little details I get to add now. Yeah, that's got some promise. So anyways, this is my typical procedure for getting these cutouts for decks. I use the cast silicone, and I cut it into the sections like I did, and then I spray red paint around them after putting them onto this flat plastic sheet. And what that lets me do is get a very close outline of what that looked like and what actually fit into the boat. Again, still some teething problems, you know, still got to do a little bit of artistic license, kind of draw in where you sort of think it really went. And it works really well. I mean, yeah, this process works pretty good. Not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than, you know, it could be, I suppose. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. At least I'm not a human laser cutter, okay? I wish I was that good, but I'm not. Anyways, going along here, I'm just doing a little bit of fine tuning, I'm kind of wishing that I'd, now when I'm editing this, put this up next to a, yeah, up next to the camera at a different angle. Maybe I fix that in a few moments. Nope, I take some measurements with standing for some reason. Must have just been comfort. So, there I go. I label things, I trace it out as I mentioned before, and here we go. Now I got the camera in a good place. And I make something of a mistake here. I made a little smaller piece. That's what I was fitting up previously as the first of these 4 deck bits. And I was like, okay, well, there's kind of a structure to this, and I tried to add a structure, this big, complicated thing. Which, I mean, would have looked nice. But I just wasn't able to get it to fit nicely, to be honest with you. Maybe there's a different way I can think to have done it. Maybe it'll come to me at some point soon, and I'll do it, and it'll be great. But unfortunately, I couldn't think of a good way to do it, so what ended up happening, after trying to get that all set in there nice, is that it just wasn't offering any support or anything for the deck piece above it. And yet, this is my little error here, which is what this music I've added now kind of represents. Big waste of my time, but at least it's only a minute or two of your time, and it's funny because it's on this side of the screen. So, as you see, I'm adding all these things in, trying to get an idea of what's going to go in. I add this little shim, try to make it fit in nicely, like it's supporting it, doesn't quite do it. And after cutting out a bigger piece, I come to a realization, an important one. I don't really need to show this part of the ship. So what I end up doing after, some narrowing this down to see how it fits, looking at, the plans, everything else, I end up coming up with a much, much easier and probably just as good, if not better for my case, solution, which is I'm just going to fill it with green stuff, buddy. And yep, there's what I stopped messing around. So there we go. Now I begin to make some progress. I puts that all into the compartment there, using some super glue just so it'll stay in place. Yep, and wiping away any excess glue, pushing it all out, pulling things out as needed, and then getting the, yep, and here's the next bits that I do that's actually kind of smart. So, sorry for the whitewash lighting. I think I finally figured it out. I think I've corrected it at this point. I think I've got my head out of my butt. Alright, so now what I'm doing is, I think I mentioned this before, I'm cutting out all these deck sections, and then I'll file them down a bit, trim where needed till they fit in their respective spot, and then I use them to make a kind of map after any further trimming to make that triangle piece that I mentioned. I'm just using the .080 by .010 strips that I've been using for the walls in these sections, so that I've got a good and accurate idea of what the spacing between these floors is. And then I cut I cut the next piece out, and it's rinse and repeat pretty much. Now, I went over that with a knife, by the way, not to erase the label, but to get rid of the glue excess that was on there. And yep, there I am, just tracing the next triangle piece. And you'll notice that I add one more to this floor section. And the reason that I do that is to get an idea of if these will fit all in the ship nicely, or if I'm going to have a repeat of the very first deck section I did when I was using the .10 by .015 strips to make walls. Which, thankfully, it looks like, as you'll see in a second, that it doesn't do that. So then I get started on the other cutting, and in just about a minute, I'm going to get, not a minute even, I'm going to get to the part where I start moving and speaking in normal motion again, after trying to get this first piece fitted and nicely placed in there. So I'll leave you with the music, and you can look forward to me speaking in normal speed in a moment. Enjoy! Wow, that's probably one of the longest time-lapse sections I've done in a while. So, pretty sure I went over how I did all this already, but because I kind of edit, then film, then edit. So, here, I did I filled this compartment up, did a little check to make sure that I wasn't going to end up, messing with where the deck goes on the boat, and I'm not. Now, I've done it with the backmost compartment, so now I'm doing the same stuff with the compartment that's one inward. And hopefully, with a bit of luck, I'll get similar results, and then I can go ahead and get started building walls again while I wait for the rest of my photo etch stuff. Alright. One of the longer time-lapsey bits, followed by a really short real-life section. Well, okay. Back to time-lapse, and hopefully this time I finally figured out this camera. Okay, sorry, just an aside. Like, I think I get one good set of footage, and I work with that, and I run with it. I'm like, it's just too dark. And then I try another bit, and it's just too light. It's like, pick one! Sorry. Alright, but hopefully, this time I've got it. Alright, here we go. Alright, looks pretty good in the editing window, all things considered. Darker than the good footage from last time, but you know what? We don't get that bright whiteout washout effect, so I'm pretty happy with that. And again, it's a fairly consistent brightness now, which will get rid of this effect that was really annoying me back when I had this on auto brightness. So there I go. I'm cutting again the pieces out, putting them together, and putting spacers in between these once I get the nice deck section just right in there. One of these deck sections, I end up actually, instead of making a triangle-shaped spacer, making a quadrilateral, like a trapezoid, I think is what it's called, shaped spacer. This might even be the deck piece that I do it to. No? Yeah, what I do here is because I had a little too much gap, I actually decided to fix it with the with some of the strip just to make it fit in better. So there I go, I fit in that strip, get a pretty good fit with everything, sand things down, and then proceed to, well, I guess trim the other end just to get some of the excess milliput, as well as try to get that detail in the side of the ship to show up again. And now finally I'm making that trapezoid that I talked about. And this thing is cocked, so I don't really like it all that much. It's ended up cockeyed, and I'm going to need to make some kind of fixturing tool or something just to better hold these wall sections in when I get to the Bismarck. That might actually be a little video in and of itself, just the design of that tool and what my thought process is. That might be useful because of something I reveal later in this video. Anyways, so yep, again, making another triangle piece. This one is pretty much even on all sides triangle. And in a brief moment, I'm going to move out of time-lapse and into real life again and probably tell you just about what I just told you, except for the thing at the end hint. Alright, well, here we are. Alright, let's try this again. So, you probably just saw briefly all those little sections spilled out of the boat, because I spilled them out of the boat because I'm done with them, done making the bases of them. Now I'm going to take these little sections, this one's called C4, I have started labeling them, and are these out of alignment? I hate when they do this. Okay, anyway, sorry about that. Sorry, I saw a little thing I was like, must fix. So yeah, what I did is I took these little triangle guys I made, you saw me do that, and spaced these out in the boat so that I get an idea of where they're all going to lay, as well as making sure that I'm fitting them, you know, adjusting the sides and everything to just the right point. Speaking of adjustment, this guy. Now what you're going to see me do is start trying to put details to go down through all the decks. And with a bit of luck, maybe, I know that this goes over that C section. Actually, it goes over it in a reasonable place. So that actually, that right there, maybe I'll be able to put a barbette on this turret too. That'd be fun. That'd be great, because then maybe I can think out a proper way to do the barbette. Or not, I don't know. On the one hand, it'd be fun. On the other hand, I want to get done, so I'm going to go to the Bismarck. Okay. But I'm definitely several videos away from that. So I'm going to go ahead and get to this. And Yeah, I'll do some work on that, and then we'll call it quits for this video. All right, here we go. All right, so here I am with that final section and testing out that method I've concocted for trying to make pieces line up better. So I actually lined these two pieces up manually and then drilled that hole through the center to try and create some kind of common feature that went through both of them. And now I'm just cutting out through the top guy, and then it'll be the bottom guy too, this outline of the hole for the barbette. And then I realize after that, cutting out of the hole for the barbette in the bottom piece, I'll realize that I made a mistake in cutting it out, and then I'll put it back in. But by doing it, top and then down, I do end up making things more traceable, more aligned. And after kind of carving out the holes, making them as circular as I can, I take the top piece, I make my measurements just to get an estimate of where some of the inner wall sections would appear to be. And then I don't put wall sections in there because I noticed a little thing on my plan that said, hey, lower wall or, open wall or something. So I'm going to have to think about that and how that would go. So now you see me just bringing the, like I did with the other barbette sections, taking a piece of my wall material, curving it around the opening, and gluing it in places as I go to try and make this thing a nice circular bit all the way around, as well as secured to the boat. I know it might throw the effect a little bit off to have it twice as thick, but this was, I think, an armored barbette. They didn't want the thing exploding for reasons. Important reasons. Reasons that they still must have gotten wrong because of their bloody ships at Jutland. I'm sorry, that joke's never going to get old. That quote is just too perfect. In case you're new, the quote was, there seems to be something wrong with our bloody ships today. Anyway, so you'll see now I'm cutting out, after measuring points in the plan, where some staircases ought to go. I take a little bit of artistic license to make sure everything jives to the boat as it is. And after looking through the plans again, I do a lot of hemming and hawing. I think I was wondering, do I want to put a torpedo hatch somewhere? Do I want to just keep going with what I have for these hatches? So that's what I do. Is I find, where do I want to put this final hatch that goes down. And then I also put in I trace a few other rectangles in places where I know that I ought to have stairs going up. So you'll see me using the calipers to just trace where these stairs are going to go. I took a little license also with where those went, just because of the constraints of the boat and not having accounted for the thickness of the bulkhead pieces. So, yep, there's that. And then you saw me really quickly take the top piece that I had just made and put it on the bottom bit, and then use those cutouts to direct trace through the cutouts of the upper floor to the ones on the bottom floor. And this is going to let me get around quite a bit of stuff, which is great. It's going to help me know right where things go, and yeah, before I even put walls on the floor below, which is kind of a plus, because then if I know I need an artistic license so something else lines up, I can do that, which is very helpful. All right, so I'll just manually bring you into the culmination of all that time-lapsey effort. So this is the top guy, and these lined up really good on the bottom one when I kind of make them the same direction and line them up in reasonably appropriately. Please work. I think that I do a reasonably good job of showing it and selling it. So yeah, that was what I was hoping to achieve by building all those little triangles and getting all those decks done first. It looks like it's a goal that I'm going to meet, which is great. So, as a kind of end thing, I guess I got a new piece of news that I learned tonight. The wife made a request, and it's her birthday, so it was one of those things you can't entirely say no to. What it was apparently I am very hard to shop for Christmas and birthday and stuff, which, I mean, I don't see it. All I ask for is cash. Yeah, no, I'm aware that I have unique interests, and Yeah, that's why I ask for cash. But apparently they wanted to get actual things, so they had a plan, and she doesn't want me to start the Bismarck until essentially next year. Meaning I'm going to have to add some complexity or something to this Dreadnought model, because it's actually coming along and might be done quite a bit before the Bismarck comes on the horizon. I could do the B-17, but that'll also on its own take a few months, which I'm not sure if I want to keep you guys waiting all that long. But yeah, figured I'd go about that and give you that heads up now. That also gives me some time to either expand the shop, plan some other things out, and just generally, yeah, get ready for that higher end production. Alright, so without further ado, I'm Rich, this has been Dreadnought 26. Time for the YouTube dance. Like, share, subscribe, hooray! Alright, got that out of my system. Peace out!